personal protection? What if somebody tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? One automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Good?
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. You got a riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You got a riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag 'em through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and goys, welcome to Primer Time on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and I am currently being surveilled by the NSA, just like everybody else.
I'm Nicholas, and I am in the middle of getting out of that surveillance by drinking a beer.
You must be using the foil wrapper around your forehead to block out your thought crime.
Yes. Well, I'm actually being surveilled by the Germans because it is German beer that I'm drinking. They want to know who's on their product.
No, it's all one great big shared link of information. And remember, the Israelis knew what kind of beer you were going to drink before you were going to drink it.
They knew for me.
They knew for you. They gave you the media prodding to go out and drink that particular beer. I would check and make sure that doesn't come from the Steinberg Brewery or something like that.
Right. So check this out. Here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have a lieutenant governor who is going to be running for the office of governor, and he wants to advance a month gun purchase law that was previously on the books, but was repealed by 2 governors ago. Ralph Northam wants to limit Virginia residents to 1 gun purchase a month.
Now, we've seen that exact same legislation happen in other highly regulated states, such as California. That was great big news back in, what was that? That must have been about 1990. That happened in the state of New York probably about, I want to say about 86, 87, 88, something like that. It happened in Massachusetts probably about 93. So this is, when you look at the entire plan of attack for the anti-gun forces, you see that they try and do this incrementally, and this is one of their many, many steps that they take before you get to someplace like California or Massachusetts or New York.
Yeah, so and having lived in California, they swear by this 1 gun a month law. The thing that I find interesting was that the reason this law was enacted in the first place was to stop Virginia from being the state where the guns originate that are used in crimes elsewhere. Basically, he's citing an individual who was basically involved in an investigation. It was a subject of a gun trafficking investigation. He's citing that guy as saying, in Virginia, our laws are so little that I can give guns away. this sounds very reminiscent of President Obama's statement about in some communities it's easier to buy a gun than it is to get a book or buy vegetables or something like that. Just something asinine.
Well, they operate on the hyperbole, and
Oh yeah,
honestly, every statement they make has to be more grandiose than the next, and in the end, that truly reveals like the kind of fatal flaw in the anti-gun argument among the neo-Bolshevik leftist, wannabe Hebrew crowd that really
yeah,
pushes the gun control, well, honestly, more than anybody else. And the biggest problem they have is everybody's got to be the loudest voice, and they will get to the point where it goes past this hyperbole, and well, every gun is a killing machine if you think about it, or something like that.
right.
To where it just becomes outright falsehoods and erroneous information, which is goes beyond like the scope of fear porn. It shows their absolute ignorance. I mean, who is that woman? We just talked about this the other day. Who was that woman in Colorado? She said, well, just let them keep their magazines because they'll like be empty and like useless.
They'll be used up.
Right. Like your springs, like you'll fire the spring out of that thing at the end. And I mean, it's an industry and a sport and most importantly, a God-given right that's attempted to being regulated by people who have not a fucking clue as to what they're talking about.
Right. Well, and that kind of takes us to another sentient point today. We have the ongoing, actually just opened up today, was the official statements for the confirmation hearings for Justice nominee Neil Gorsuch. Today, he hit the head shebrew, Nancy Feinstein, or was it Dianne Feinstein, and she pressed him about whether he agrees with the late Justice Antonin Scalia's opinion in the case of Heller versus the District of Columbia. And he responded in kind with, Heller is the law of the land. So that sounds like an affirmation of the right of the citizen to keep and bear arms. But basically, what he's going on saying that basically it's that Heller set the standard that judges are supposed to apply. Basically, to me, it sounds like he agrees this is settled law. He's not going to revisit this, and that's the way it's going to be. And when Feinstein continued to press him, he basically shot back, said, whatever is in Heller is the law, and I follow the law. Feinstein further pressed him, saying, so you agree with it? And he said, it's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing, Senator, respectfully. It's a matter of being the law, and my job is to apply the law and enforce the law.
And boom goes the dynamite. All right, so anybody out there who listens and votes for Dianne Feinstein, may whatever you hold holy have mercy on your soul. For the rest of us, that's all they care about. And we'll apply this to. I've got this theory that right now the main enemy as to what's going on, the main enemy to basically the American way of life right now is afraid of two things. Number one, they're afraid of the American gun owner. They're desperately afraid of the American gun owner. And they're doing everything they can to malign that American gun owner and make it seem like there's not as many of you and whatever. It's not real. It's not, it's there's 750 million guns in the United States, but a good 699 million of them are owned by 8 fat white dudes in Idaho. So it's not as many as you think. And the other thing they're very, 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 very afraid of is being labeled for who they are.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things. You can use all the fear porn you want, but when people start calling you out for your biases and this and that, these people tend to get a little upset, and then it's the old tried and true. Hey, you're the anti-Semite. You're the the this and the that.
Well, and I mean, we can just look at this push recently with the election of Trump and the nonstop media onslaught. So I'm going to tell you, anybody who's pissing off the media that much has got to be doing something right. But
Yeah.
we've seen actual calls from notable Hollywood celebrities calling for like violent revolution and military overthrow of the United States and begging and pleading for UN assistance in overthrowing the president. And of those tweets and monologues on TV and on the radio and whatnot, they got major attention. Well, you know, the hell came from the same tribe once again.
Yeah. Well, you remember
combine that with the nonstop push about anti-Semitism for what's going on like almost 10 days in a row now. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they had Alan Dershowitz on before 8 a.m. Central Time on CNN talking about exactly how bad anti-Semitism is.
right. Well, so you remember Gabby Giffords, right?
Right.
All right, the former gun-loving former member of the House of Representatives. She's basically going to go on another anti-gun screed, and she has set up a new group with her husband.
The guy who shot her was a member of her own synagogue. Interesting to note that. But
well, not only that, he passed every single
Cathy
background check. He passed every single background check that there was in order for him to purchase a gun legally. So,
right.
Yeah.
Chatty Cathy and Astros Svengali, I don't really appreciate them. I think Mark Kelly is a disgusting pile of shit, and I know that he's in that same group with Petraeus, which is like Veterans for Responsible Firearms Ownership or something like that, which is once again a misnomer. It's the left newspeak for firearms and gun control.
Right.
And Petraeus, I mean, he's a special piece of work. He's against Americans having these weapons of war. Well, I'm sort of against generals like fucking their biographer and giving them like top secret information. I'm kind of
I may not have been present when that was going on.
I don't want to know about that, Nick. Seriously, but I mean, when that hit the news and that came out, I mean, that's against all the codes of conduct. I mean, you got a wife, and yeah, your biographer is 30 years younger than her and way hotter and whatever, but you didn't have to give her top secret information.
Yeah,
You're a general, dude. She's gonna bang you anyways.
Yeah, especially when she was a major.
I mean, I don't know, but that's just, I mean, when it comes down to it, you got people like Petraeus, but he's part of like the great big globalist agenda. I mean, look, you were there. If we really wanted to win and just defeat the Taliban and get the fuck out of there, were we doing it the right way?
Nope. Because I will tell you that for 1,400 years they've been doing business the same way, and that is by submission and not by like polite submission, like hey, you guys won, we're just gonna no. They're cutting off heads, and unless we fight fire with fire like we did during the Philippine insurrection under General John Blackjack Pershing, who slathered his ammunition in pig fat,
right.
You gotta understand the level that these people are playing on. You have to be willing to go one step further.
Right. Well, I see it one of two ways. You go one step further in either A, you kill every fucking one of them, and that's how you defeat every enemy. You kill them so much that they're tired of being killed. Or two, you force convert them to the American way. You airdrop McDonald's and fucking Xboxes and big screen TVs, and you cover that place in the desire to be a consumer rather than a desire to be a jihadi. And I mean, that's the only two ways to do it. We're not doing it either one of them ways.
Well, if you listen to Marie Harf, a former State Department spokesperson, remember ISIS isn't bad. They're just misunderstood. They need jobs.
They need jobs, dude. And when you kill your enemy, they win in the end.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it may be too nuanced for the rest of us, but you know, it takes a learned mind to understand such a concept.
You know, I really think like this whole ISIS thing is the greatest fucking scam on the American people. This is bigger than like Silverado savings and loan or something like that. This is better than the TARP bailout. Uh, I mean, I've seen in the past couple of days, I've seen like 5 different stories from 5 fairly reputable news sources saying that the Israelis are working hand in hand with ISIS. You know, and that kind of goes along with my theory, like with WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks will put out everything about the United States and the Russians and whatever. They won't say a damn thing about the Israelis.
Yeah, you know, I haven't gone through any of the WikiLeaks stuff because you know the Department of Defense says that even though it's classified information out in the public domain, it's still classified. So
Right.
I don't need that
CNN
stink on me.
says that you're not allowed to look at it anyways. The only people
Yeah,
that can get it is a real journalist like him. So
yeah,
you're doing
exactly.
the Lord's work, son.
I am. So yeah, you know that's one of the things that I think is pretty interesting. Is
All
that
right, so
not only do you have the media that's out there willing to tell you what you're not allowed to do because only they can do it, you know, you've got them being totally complicit with one side of the argument and getting funded by it in every turn.
well, you know, I mean, it just goes to show you, you know, who's actually running the show. You know, I mean, that's why seriously, that's what Trump freaks the media out. Whatever, that's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty
That's
happy about that actually.
The more he makes them cry, the better off I am. I don't care. I don't care if he ate dog with the Russians with like 5 hookers while they all peed in the back of fucking Air Force One. I don't care.
That wouldn't really bother me because according to Putin, they are the best in the world.
Yeah, you know, I got to give it up for Putin for that one. That was
You
I,
know, I like how he stopped from calling them hookers, but he said something like "ladies of ill repute," and then at the same token said, "But I can understand completely. They are the best."
yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
I think if that would have been reversed with an American politician saying that, that would have been bigger than grabbing pussy with Billy Bush.
You know, and that's interesting that you bring that up. So, you know, in the Department of Defense, we have what's called the Sexual Harassment and Rape Prevention Program, SHARP,
Oh,
which
good.
deals with which deals with everything from sexual harassment to you know, inadvertent comments and whatever. And the greatest thing in the world is that ever since Bill Clinton was in office and banging Monica Lewinsky, and now Donald Trump, who grabs people by inappropriate places, we have to get told in the military why that's inappropriate, but yet our boss is okay to to brag about it.
I uh I remember the very first sexual harassment course that I went through, and it was like there was like 28 guys in this class, and fuck, that was like the longest 6 hours we ever had because we started getting in trouble after about like the first hour and a half of just cracking jokes nonstop, and then they started
Right.
like threatening our job.
Yeah. No, you know,
All right, so
only after you've had it for so many times does it begin to sink in, and then maybe not even.
yeah, really, before you really start believing it. All right, so in regards to like media malfeasance and news stories, we got one that's kind of like somewhat related to the firearms industry, and I've seen it on a couple different websites and a couple different news outlets that the firearms industry has taken a real serious hit, and it's Trump's fault. Trump is
Oh yeah,
killing the
yeah,
American firearms industry,
yeah.
and you know there may actually be some truth to the rumor that the American firearms industry, from the manufacturer's perspective, is in somewhat of a slump. I mean, we've got Remington laying off what was it, 120 or 112 employees,
Yeah, it was
and then like
112 employees plus the 40 or so executives.
right, and which happened the next day, which were not announced when we talked about it the other day.
Right,
That was the 40 or so was kind of a surprise out of nowhere.
right,
And now you've got Federal laying off
right.
100 employees. So yeah, I think there is somewhat of a slump. Maybe there is a lack of demand,
But see,
and
I don't even think this is
try.
called a. I don't even think this is a slump. So you take a look at this in market terms, right? The markets are inflated, and over time, the markets have what are called corrections, right? They're
Oh,
not full on
absolutely.
they're not full on recessions. They're not depressions. They're just getting the market right, and I think that's what we're at. We had 8 years of fear driven purchasing, and
Well, not only 8 years, but I mean, especially in the last 4 years. I
right,
mean, just now we're beginning to get to a point where you can regularly find 22 long rifles, sometimes even at Walmart. I mean, that's
right.
only been for the last couple months. And I mean, in some places, it's still harder than hell to find 22.
Oh,
You know,
certainly. And
uh,
depending upon what you want to bet, I mean, you might be able to find CCI, whereas I can't.
right. I mean, I can find a whole lot of Agulent and all that, but it's getting hard. It's kind of, if you see mini mags or stingers, you pick them up just because. You know, but I mean, the last 4 years took a great big toll on the available supply in the market, and then there was well, shit. I mean, seriously, how many just AR-15 manufacturers popped up in the last 4 years?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I more
anybody who
more than
could
I
get a
can
roll
count.
mark made.
Anybody, yeah, seriously, anybody could get a roll mark and had a bench, because really a lot of these smaller manufacturers, they just put them together. They ended up buying was it like Aero Precision? It was one of the major manufacturers that exported like raw blowers that they ended up roll marking and finishing themselves, or even having them roll mark it. They just put it together for them. There was a
Right.
lot of companies like that. I mean, how many new magazine manufacturers for AR-15 magazines came out? I mean, it was a
Oh,
very, very hot market while there was, I you know, the looming doom, I guess would be the best way to say it.
right, right. Yeah,
And I mean,
and
that's
we
natural.
have come instead of just having Magpul now, there's Magpul, there's Hex Mag, lots of other magazine manufacturers out there.
Amen to it. I mean, and these are just polymer mags. I mean, there's probably 8 or 9 different metal magazine manufacturers. I mean, aside from you know companies that make their own mag like HK or Sig, or hell, even uh, Metgar. And I mean, and
Right.
and of course, not counting the unmentionables like Tapco or ProMag. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
so I mean, so there's going to be some sort of, I guess, product glut on the market. You combine, I would say, the great big buildup after 2013, and the continued run, and you combine that with Trump, and maybe not as many Feinsteins out yelling and screaming and dancing on roofs with fiddles. Um, yeah, you're going to see some sort of like change in the market, and I think it's completely normal, but I think it is something you have to prepare for, because this little market downturn, it's not. It could be. It could result in shortages later, and I would not be surprised if it results in shortages later when any sort of bill comes out that could possibly paint Trump in a bad light and get rid of guns at the same time comes out.
Yeah.
So
Well, like I said, I think that a lot of these folks that are getting laid off from whether it be Remington or Federal was the extra staff were part of the extra staff that was brought on to meet production demands. So, is this a sign of the times, or is this just like I said, the market's getting right? And I think it's
well,
the
and then
market's
and
getting
then you
right.
look at. I think it's the market's getting right, and then you also have to look at some of these companies, not necessarily Federal, but Remington for sure is a product of Freedom Group. And Freedom Group, is a great big venture capital company that comes in and buys up competing industries, and or competing companies within a certain industry and tries to, basically monopolize or take as large of a share of the market as they can. And in the resulting efforts to do that, the dollar's everything. And then you end up with something like, rusty Remington 870 shipping from the factory with, curvy transfer bars and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Oh well. Oh well. So what else? What else is going on? You had a chance to go play with some guns lately?
Actually, I went with a friend of mine, and we looked at a couple of interesting items. And I'll tell you, a company that I'm not necessarily super fond of, but they have I guess in my book, their reputation isn't all that it's cracked up to be, but you say their name to the average newbie and they're going to say, oh, that's the greatest stuff in the world. Kimber. Kimber's got a fairly new pistol called the Micro 9. And it's a modified 1911 style, ultra small 9mm, very much, very, very similar to a SIG 938, which is kind of like a larger Colt Pony and Colt Mustang design that Colt made, back, I don't even remember the first year they made them, but a little single action, somewhat 1911-ish pistol design. And the SIG was actually, the Kimber was actually in a couple of stores for $650 with laser grips on it. Now, those Laser Max laser grips, those are $300.
Well, that's not cheap.
No. I mean, they're not a cheap item. Those Laser Max grips are, $350 for, any handgun you want to put them on. But these things were brand new in the box with the Laser Max grips on them, and they were $650 out the door. And you had like 6 of them. Now they were like a desert tan with desert tan grips with like smaller black appointments, and then the frame was black, and I guess, and the slide was kind of a stainless. And the big difference, because I had the chance to put 2 of them together, or put a 938 and the Kimber Micro 9 together. And the big difference was the Kimber was more rounded on the top of the slide, where the SIG is a little more blocky and a little more chunky. They had very, very, very similar weight, maybe an ounce difference, if at all, between them. The magazines were very similar. The magazines actually could be swapped to fit in each other. They wouldn't necessarily lock, but they were of the same angle and feed lip design to where you could swap them. And I would guess it's just an issue of where the magazine catcher or something is on the magazines. They're in almost identical spots. I'm just guessing it's widths. One might be just a little bit higher than the other one. So I mean, I'm not saying that it's a good idea to swap those magazines or anything, but I mean, I'm just commenting on how close they were. Almost identical widths, but the price was just something that blew me away, because Kimber had a smaller 9mm pistol before that was called the Solo, and it was very kind of reminiscent of like a 1903 Colt, which had a concealed hammer, or I don't think those did have a concealed hammer, but it had an elongated backstrap, and the grip angle kind of, you set a little bit forward of where the slide was, and that was a really kind of like revolutionary pistol when like the Micro 9 category was really opening up, and then people found out that it wasn't necessarily the most reliable thing in the world. And I think that one actually got a bad rap because it worked perfectly well as it was designed to function. But
right.
I think people got them, and they were using, well, what do you see? People buy a brand new gun, and what the first thing they do is they go out and they buy like a box of Winchester white box 115 grain, or Monarch steel cased 115 grain, or whatever it is, 115 grain, because that stuff is $9 a box. And they bought a pistol that is designed to be ultra reliable for self-defense, using self-defense ammo, not a wide range of plinking pistol and all that, which in the end truly does call for like a different design feature. It calls for different springs. It calls for a different weight in the slide. So I mean, all these things came into practice, but so I think the Kimber Solo kind of got a bad rap, but I can't wipe away all of the Kimber sins over that. But that's something else that I've seen in other small pistols. Are you familiar with the Beretta Nano?
So we actually talked about the Beretta Nano 3-4 months ago.
Right. Well, that's another ultra small, slim, very slim single stack 9mm. Well, that's another one that was designed to use 124 grain or above ammunition, and people bought them and immediately went, 2 boxes of steel case Wolf, please, and it didn't work correctly.
Yep.
So another company with another recall, and I don't know. It's I think it's something that the firearms manufacturers have to take into mind. But then again, there's also some consumer awareness that has to be going on, for the product you're buying.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, being as that I'm broke these days, as always. I did talk to that gentleman whom I work with, and this is the weekend coming up where I will be in the possession of a new to me muzzleloader. So I will be able to get
Central.
There we go. We're going to be getting ready for deer season 2017, starting in April.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the costs involved with shooting a black powder. Go ahead. Right. No, I was just going to ask you, for some of the prices on some of the items.
So basically, you're gonna take a look at the powder. You're going to take a look at whether you're going to be actually using loose powder or if you're going to be using the formed powder charges. Usually set up in right, exactly, or the 777 or whatever. And those are usually formulated in 50 grain increments, and they're shaped to the diameter of the barrel. In addition to that, you're going to need the 209 primers. And when it comes down to it, that's pretty much all you need in order to be able to shoot the bullet. So like you said, you have your choice of bullet, the powder, and then the primer, which is your ignition source. After that, you're going to need to invest in a method of cleaning. Most modern muzzleloaders can be cleaned with soapy water. You don't necessarily have to go all out and get the spray cleaners that blew up inside the barrel and then they drip out and then you ran a cleaning patch through it. But it's all about ease of use now. The one that I will be getting is a bolt action, which on its face it's kind of difficult to operate if you're trying to make a follow-up shot if you need to do that. But the primer sits in an area where the flash goes through the hole and then ignites the powder, which in turn propels the bullet. There are different ones. CVA is one of the manufacturers that's pretty popular. You'll have Thompson Center.
Make something like that. Let me ask you: is yours convertible to a 12 gauge with that little kit that they make for it?
Not that I know of. No.
There might be a conversion kit like that. I've seen that there are several conversion kits available for muzzle loaders that use the 209 primer.
Right. Well, the good thing about this is that this is I would say it's an older one. It's a Traditions Lightning bolt action, and This is the first one that I've ever used, and I was successful in taking deer with it. The powder load that I was given to use with it was 80 grains, and I think I may be pushing that up to 100 or 150. Um, so it's different. I would.
Are you going to take that first upgraded and increased powder shot from behind a safe, like with a string or something, or
Well,
gonna
see,
guts it
that's the
out?
thing. Most of these are set up to accept 150 grains. Uh, some do it better than others, and some people just don't like the recoil. So it's all about whatever bullet and powder combination actually is accurate for you.
Are you going to start casting your own ammunition, or are you just going to buy?
Oh no,
Like,
it'll be just be buying it.
okay, what are you looking at say for a cost for let's say a package of 100 bullets?
Oh, so normally I think you get them in quantity significantly less than that. I think you buy them in like a box of. I think the ones that I saw was a box of either 20 or 25, and yeah, depending upon the maker, whether you're getting Barnes ammo, whether you're getting power belts. I mean, the prices fluctuate. So, you can see a big difference between the saboed bullets. Um, those are the bullets that are a little bit smaller in diameter and have that plastic cup that allows them to engage the rifling, versus the power belts, which are the full diameter bullet with what is it, like basically uh, a plastic cup that eliminates the shot cup, and that engages the grooves in the rifling. So, depending upon, for me, whatever it is, I'm going to take the advice of the guy that I shot with, and then also when I go out and shoot it, I'll see what works best and go from there.
That's cool. Are you going to more move towards the like the Pyrex pellets, or something along those lines, just for the ease of use, or are you going to get yourself
I'm
one of those like Mountain
basically
Man
in
orange
that regard, I
bullet
am
out?
I'm gonna go with whatever helps operate the firearm to its best ability, and then not only that, but I look at ease of cleaning. I've heard some of the formed pellets are very difficult to keep clean. Um, that's one of those things that I think I'm going to have to err on the side of what the tried and true method is for that individual muzzle loader.
All right, so let me ask you a question regarding those Pyrodex bullets, because those things are actually kind of fascinating to me. Um,
Yeah,
how
and
are
like I
those
said, there's other things like
sold?
777.
But which are basically the same product, or the
Right,
same
it's the
idea
same
behind the
concept.
product.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the prices for Pyrodex, or the 777s, or
So
whatever else
that's
they're?
one thing.
I
Like I
only
said, I
I
have
only know
to.
about Pyrodex. I don't know about the other one.
Yeah, I haven't gone in and seen a price lately, so I would hold off on quoting you anything, because they're a seasonal item. So if you're buying this at a big box store, the prices will fluctuate as you get into or out of the season. As a matter of fact, right now I was at Walmart the other day, and they have quite a few pieces of hunting gear on sale. So the muzzleloader stuff sometimes isn't even in stock until you get to, say, June, July, or August.
Right, and then it's out of season not too long after that.
So
So
yeah, it's out of season, and they won't get it back in for
I guess that's your value shopping
quite a bit of
tip.
time.
Right? That's your value shopping tip for tonight. Thank you. Think like the merchant. Um,
There you go.
so does this pique your interest into getting into black powder handguns by any means?
So not really, because when it comes down to it, I have a couple colleagues that actually do the black powder style handguns, and for them it's the novelty of you using a percussion cap and seeing the smooth bore ammo, you know, make the big cloud of smoke in a big hole in something. I am not of that opinion.
You'd rather use it for hunting. See, I
Exactly.
think if I had one, I'd be more inclined to use it for plinking, and then as okay, all the power went out. I'm down to my last, like 4 rounds of 22, but I've still got the I've still got the black powder, so I'm okay. You know, I think
Yeah,
that's where
and that's one thing
would.
that's one thing that I want to put out there as a safety tidbit. Please, please, please only use the powder that is designated for your muzzle loader. Do not attempt to substitute smokeless powder, such
Yeah,
as
right. Don't try and use
stuff
like
used in
rifle powder.
modern firearms. Right. Do
Right.
not try and substitute that for your black powder. You will
Just
have
like
a failure.
okay, so that brings up a good question. Does are there markings on the barrel of this that say for use with with black powder only,
Yes.
certain amount of F rating or something like that?
Yeah, certainly. And that's one of the things that I know, for example, CVA, for instance, when they sell a firearm, it comes with a series of DVDs, basically designed to get somebody who's never operated a muzzleloader to being proficient with it and being able to maintain it. And one of the demonstrations they have in their videos is what happens to the firearm when it's actually loaded with the incorrect powder, and it's always a major fault, major failure. The barrel explodes. The barrel just opens up like a banana peel, and more often than
From the
not,
wrong
sends,
end, I would imagine.
yeah, and pieces of the barrel go flying. So
Right.
it is a dangerous
The
thing.
face and hands and arms and
Right.
neck.
And one of those things that is recommended for anybody if they're, getting ready to take a firearm from somebody in terms of a black powder rifle, assuming that every firearm is loaded. One of the things that's probably a good idea is that if you don't know if it's been loaded previously, it's real hard to tell. So what you can do is, make sure that a primer is in, take it in a safe direction, and just fire it, because even if it's just the primer being ignited, uh, you'll be able to verify that it is in fact now unloaded, and you can go from there.
Yeah, see, I don't know enough about black powder weapons to, I'd have to figure out and play with them a little bit. Um, that sounds like you're up for a little bit of an adventure with that. Now
Yeah, I'm
that
hoping so. And basically what this is this will give me an opportunity to be able to take deer a month or 2 weeks earlier than for general firearms in my state. And you sometimes you can't get within 60 yards of a deer during archery season. That's just the way it happens.
I just like the fact that it goes boom. That's just much more.
And it is a big boom.
That's cool. And I think with muzzle loaders, you can get them up to what, all the way up to .80 caliber.
Say that again.
I think with the current muzzle loaders, you can get them all the way up to .80 or .76 or something like that.
Wow, that's big. Most most of them I've seen are 45 up to 63.
Yeah, I've seen 63 and 50 and 48 and 45 and
58,
54,
63, 45.
33s. But those end up usually being for the black powder handgun, and a lot of those are brass framed, and I don't know if that's necessarily something I want to repeatedly use. I'd wonder
Yeah.
about the life. Brass is kind of soft.
Well, the way I look at it is, most of the time, you can have a newer or new-ish uh, muzzleloader for anywhere between 250 and $350. So, if you do manage to shoot the barrel out of that, and by the time you do that, the new improvements will have been made to it, not necessarily new technological innovations, but new improvements to the system will have been made. So you'll want to go ahead and get a newer one anyways.
Well, I mean, I see them. There's a couple of retailers near me that have, like a ready to go, like your first black powder kit. And
Right.
it's got everything you need to go out and fire it like 25 times or something.
Yeah, and that's what Traditions is known for. Traditions is known for different kits that start off just a stock, and you build the weapon yourself, all the way up to all in ones.
Right. I see that little all in one kit more often with the brass framed revolvers and especially with the single shot pistols. I see that ready to go set, and those little pistols are usually 45 to 50. I think 40, 44, 45, 50, 54, and 58 is usually what those little pistols come in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I personally don't have any interest in them as a black powder pistol, but some people do. And for me, it's just if I'm going to shoot a handgun, I don't necessarily want to go single shot mode.
Right. I'm gonna have to go take a look at some of those next time I see one.
Yeah, and they make them in historical reproductions of historically significant guns.
Right, they don't have to look like Disney pirate guns.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to have the musket pistol. So lots of different options out there.
Wait until they put a rail and
A red dot on it.
exactly, and a foregrip and a bipod and a 6-position sliding stock, and yeah, the Tapco edition. That's what they're called.
Only a matter of time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's already one out there. I mean, that can't be more heinous than that. Mossberg has the excuse me. Mossberg has that lever action 30-30 that they sort of skeletonized and put a T6 stock on it, and
right.
It's got rails up at the front for the handguard, and it's like the zombie 30-30. I'm like, oh my god! I almost want to buy one just so I can unbutcher it, and I don't know. No, I don't want one of those. Those are garbage. That's wasting my money. And everybody, every time I see one for sale, it's like totally unique, and they only want $550 for it. Like, you crazy.
Well, there you go.
I would give you $300 for that thing.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen anything that's really caught my eye. Really just continuing to purchase ammo and keep what I have in good condition. It's just one of those things you never know when you're going to need ammo. So
I got a feeling that purchasing ammo right now, just due to the shutdowns that we discussed, and the minute-to-minute fluctuations in the market. And I mean, seriously, you can see that market turn in the matter of a week to where it's
certainly
nothing, and it can be done faster than. All right, just for historical reference, I told you I went out with a friend of mine and looked at some interesting things. Well, the shop where we saw those Kimber Micro 9s at that super special is he's a fairly larger gun store. He does quite a amount of business, and it's an old style gun store where they have rifles in racks, and you can pick them up and look at them. And
right.
It's not everything's not behind glass. I mean, the handguns are behind glass, but you can pick up rifles, and these are some good old boys that work there. Well, when the whole 2013 unpleasantness kicked off, I had been in their shop, and they had I didn't have a 5.56 at that time. I had 760 by 39. But I had plenty of 9mm, and they had a case of 9mm. I don't remember what it was. Whatever. It was just 9mm jacketed, whatever. And I remember it being like $259 for 1,000, and going, wow, that's only like $20 more than what it normally should be. I should grab it, and I didn't grab it. And then I actually ended up going back in that store a couple days later, and at that point, I think they had probably about 12 cases of it. And I went back into that store like 2 days later, and it was gone. All that ammo was gone, and basically they were cleaned out. And I mean, these are guys that have a lot of ammo. And just the other day, we were up at that guy's store, and I asked him, and he said that they went through 2.5 million rounds in from December to September of that year.
Wow. That's serious.
2.5 million rounds of ammunition out of one store in Podunk, nowhere, Texas.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta sell them things to make them dollars.
See, which is really like kind of like the end all be all to the gun control argument, right? Because I mean, just look at the sheer numbers, right? So if there's 330 million people in the United States, and there's, whatever they say,
another
half
30, 45 that are illegal.
well, whatever. I mean, let's include the illegals in that 30 million or that 330 million number. Okay, so we're going to take half of that, saying that half of them are American citizens or are American gun owners. All right, whether
Right.
legal, illegal, not legal, illicit, however, that many people have firearms. All right,
Right.
so out of that comes out to be like 750 firearms or 750 million firearms, and I think it's well over 1.5 trillion rounds of ammunition in public hands or in private hands, not held by the government, but held by private citizens. If those gun owners were the problem, you kind of know about it.
Of course,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a lot of ammo. I mean, that's way more than like 5 pallets full of ammo.
Yeah, that's a ton. More than I'll see any time that I'm not in combat.
Right. So I mean, I got a feeling that, just due to the nonstop media onslaught, and I didn't see the thing with Feinstein today. As soon as we're done and you and I get off, I'm gonna go look for that because it'll probably be on YouTube, and I got to see that because
Yeah, they actually have it already being linked to other websites, so you're definitely going to be able to find
I'm
that.
gonna have to find that and just rant and rave about that. But I see it happening again. I mean,
Well,
we're never
at some point, the
firearm.
novelty will wear off, and people will get complacent, and things will get pushed through Congress.
Right.
So
And yeah, be prepared for that because I'm telling you, like we saw it, and I mean I've seen it happen before this last little push. I remember it happening in '94. Boy, in '94 that was ugly.
yeah, that was the crime bill, right?
Right. But I mean, like
Yeah,
Glock magazines, off-brand Glock magazines were going for $150 back then. That was a lot of money back then.
yeah, definitely. Oh well, those times will be here soon enough again.
Right, right. So stock up and prepare for that. Let's hit some firearm safety real quick.
Due for it, please.
All right. First rule of firearm safety and black powder safety is make sure that you check and ensure that every firearm is loaded or is unloaded prior to handling. Every firearm is loaded when you receive it. Rule number 2 is keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Don't cover anything you don't wish to destroy. Rule number 3, know what your target is, know what's beyond your target at all times. And rule number 4, the most important rule of all, is do not place a booger hook on the bang switch until you are ready to discharge the weapon.
There you go. Sage advice.
I've not seen any negligent discharge stories recently.
No, I haven't either, and that's one of those things that you're either due for a mass shooting story, an elementary school getting shot up, or negligent discharge in a mall.
And I'll tell you, I've noticed that they do tend to come in clumps, and that is just, to me, that's more proof like the media perversion and collusion. But we could also blame the Russians.
There you go. Russians are. I don't know. James Comey out there said that there's no evidence that WikiLeaks received any assistance from Russia in exposing John Podesta's emails.
I think it's a joke. Look, when you get down to the Podesta thing, Andrew Breitbart tweeted that something along the lines of, what would America say if they knew that John Podesta was the head chief operator of an underage pedo sex smuggling ring? And then he died 4 days later. And then the guy, the coroner died. They shut him up, So I mean, anything I believe Pizzagate's real. Honestly, they've done it before. It's not like We don't have a bunch of pervert child molesters like running this place. I mean, they just arrested some dude in Oklahoma. He's, some God-fearing Christian lawmaker, blah, 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 got caught in a hotel like a 14-year-old boy,
Yeah, well, that does happen.
I mean, look, Bill Clinton got the HIV in '80. I'm telling you that straight up.
Bill Clinton, huh?
Look at the pictures of him. Look at a recent picture of him. He looks like he's got it bad.
Yeah, he does not look like he's been in good shape for quite a while.
No, he looks like he's got a wasting disease. And Haiti's a good place to catch that.
That it is. That it is. I think that's going to be one of the interesting things, though, is to determine whether or not Hillary Clinton, she keeps her mind, or if she succumbs to Alzheimer's or something like that here coming up.
Well, I saw something the other day, along the lines of more media collusion, of course, was Hillary Clinton is ready to come out of the woods. And my first thought was, well, fucking A, we better build a wall around the woods.
With a really nice door.
And some guard towers and some spotlights. Keep her in the woods.
Somebody actually commented about her appearance lately, and they were none too concerned with the content of her message, but they were very concerned with her ability to look like she was taking care of herself.
I think anybody concerned with Hillary's message is an enemy of the state, and by the state I mean the body of the people. They are fit to be expelled. That's the nicest way to put it.
Yeah.
I had to judiciously choose words on that one, but I think it's time to clean this place up. I did see that YouTube was under fire because they marked some lesbian, gay, LGBTQ stuff as may require parental guidance, and
wow,
that's just
kind of interesting.
They apologized and undid that. So now your children are free to find lesbian, gay, PQ stuff on YouTube anytime they want now.
Well, isn't that the way things go?
So if you're following the protocols, that's the way things go.
Yeah. Well, good thing I don't.
Yeah. Well, what's this? The quote? It's you may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you.
Yeah, that part is true.
I think that's where we're at, and it's every day. Every day you see it.
Well, in the near future, when I become retired and I can sit on my porch and opine about the good old days, it'll be one of those things that I can say and do what I want without fear of retribution.
I understand that. So long live the emperor.
Yeah, the emperor's got no clothes.
They're mighty, mighty expensive nude-looking clothes. Yeah, no, I don't know, man.
They're called sheer.
I'm in shock at the amount of just parroting that's going on.
Oh, it's the echo chamber.
Frankly, it's pathetic. I mean, I don't know, honestly, Trump taking trips to Florida or whatever, that did not shut down Meals on Wheels.
No, Meals on Wheels shut down Meals on Wheels.
Now, just remember the most important thing: the Israeli funding will not be touched. That's right. What a wonderful way to end the show, knowing that our chosen brothers and our betters in the Holy Land will have full access to American dollars while we suffer at home. Everybody, have a wonderful night, and do what the song says: buy a gun, because it's coming.
Do what patriots do. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host